All right, so today we have the Complete Audio 6. This is a 6-channel premium audio interface from Native Instruments. All right, so first we'll start off by checking out the box. Here we can see the system requirements. This is compatible with Windows and Mac. It's a USB 2 connection, which of course is included. Go to the back, take a look over the interface there. So of course we have 2 balanced analog inputs, digital I/O, MIDI I/O, USB powered, which is nice, meaning we don't actually have to plug it in to anything but the computer. It's bus powered. I like the big volume knob on there too. We have the headphone out and the combined XLR and TRS inputs there on the front, so we can plug like a mic in here, or we could plug, say, like a guitar or something like that into that same port. Obviously not at the same exact time. And the box also opens up as such, so you can sort of get an idea of how you would connect everything there. And this includes a $25 e-voucher. Okay, and it comes with Complete Elements, but I actually already have the full version of Complete, so I really don't need that, and I don't need Cubase LE because, we have Pro Tools, we have Bitwig, but it comes with that as well. All right. So like many audio interfaces, this, item cannot be returned once it's opened, simply because we're registering things and there's included software. So, if somebody opened this up, registered the software, then we return the product, then the next buyer would kind of be out of luck there if they registered it. So, boom, this is officially ours now. This looks to be a really nice interface. I really got this really for my Surface because I want something that's a little more portable than, the 11 rack, which is portable enough, but not nearly as portable as something small like an interface like this. And I wanted something that had more than just 2 in, 2 out. There are plenty of interfaces that have 2 in, 2 out, and they're not that expensive, a little over $100. And they're really good interfaces, don't get me wrong. But I needed something with at least 6, or at a very minimum of 4. And the Complete Audio 6, it's got the 6 there for a reason. 6 in, 6 out, really cool. All right, guys, let's take this apart. I don't know why that's correct, but all right. And I'm guessing this would be our software. Yep, that's our software and our activation card. Now I'm covering my activation labels, which are right under, they're on this first card here. They're right under here, all of your authorization serial numbers, things you want to use to register all of this stuff on nativeinstruments.com. Okay, so it's on this black card right here. I can't show you the numbers because so one of you guys was going to try to steal my software. I know that. Although I might just give this software away anyway. I don't need it. There's the back of the card. All right. Safety information, which I'm sure, all of us read this. We sit in bed at night reading safety information. I know, musicians and creative people love to read safety information. All right, guys. Here is some cool decals. It looks like stickers or something. That's actually pretty cool that they would include something like that. It just adds a little value to the package. Stick them around wherever. All right, so that's what's in this little package here. All right, let's get into this beast. All right, pretty cool. All right, what the heck we got over here? Okay, here we have our cable. It's over on this side. Don't throw this out. Got your cable there on the side. We'll go ahead and open this up. This is should be our USB cable. Let's check out how long it is and what quality it is. Sometimes you buy a nice interface that's a few $100s, maybe even $1,000, and the manufacturer skimps on the USB cable, which makes absolutely no sense to me. But this cable, hopefully you can tell how thick it is. It's actually pretty thick. It has good connectors, good quality connector here. Yeah, and it's even got the NI branding on this, which is pretty cool, the Native Instruments branding. So we won't get confused with other USB cables. All right, let me check out how long this cable is. Okay, so I'm almost out of tape here. It's about 58 inches. Of course, you can probably stretch it, maybe even clear to 60 if you really stretch it, but I'm not really stretching it too much, and that gives us 58 inches, which is pretty long. That's nice when they give you a cable long enough to use, so you're not, so you're not tethered, right next to your computer that you're using. All right, so that's pretty much everything that's in the package there. I also want to mention this, of course, supports Mac and PC ASIO, Core Audio, and WAS API, which is the Windows audio system. Now for Mac, you shouldn't need any drivers. Now for Windows, we will need a driver, and we'll connect it maybe to our Surface because we have USB 3 ports on there. And I want to show you that this will work with USB 3 ports. This is a USB 2.0 interface, but it will work with a USB 3.0 computer, USB 3.0 ports. All right. And real quick, I just want to mention that, as you can see, you will need to register your hardware before you can download and activate the software. And again, those codes are right here. I'm, of course, not showing the actual numbers, but they're all right there. Okay, so just activate your interface, register it on this address here, and you should get your Cubase LE and everything else that is included. We got Tractor and Complete Elements. Now we'll go ahead and take this bad boy out of the packaging. It's got a really hefty feel to it, which is nice. It doesn't feel cheap at all. It definitely feels premium, which is pretty cool for the price point, which these are usually around $200, $230, $250. That's a pretty good price point for a 6-in, 6-out interface that is bus powered and that has quality converters on it. All right, so look at this guy, man. Really nice branding on the sides. It definitely looks premium. It feels premium. I mean, this thing, it just feels premium, man. Again, nice branding. Here's the back. We'll take a little closer look at this in a second. Can't show you the bottom because of my serial number, but let me cover that up real quick. Okay, so here is the bottom. You can see there's these nice rubber-like feet. So whenever we set it down, it's going to stay there. Okay. And again, like I said, this has a weight to it. It's not, it's not light. Like some interfaces are light and cheap. Some, Chinese interfaces, really cheap ones, are really light and these might slide around. This thing, you can set it, and that is actually really nice. I'm actually really impressed, especially for the price I paid for this thing. This is it looks to be a premium interface. We'll hook it up and see, make sure it works, but that's pretty cool. All right, so now we'll take a little closer look over the unit. Now, one thing I didn't see in the box was an instruction manual, and I guess they're just gonna count, the box here as being sort of the instruction manual, the front and the back of it. Not that I need one, but there is a PDF available online, instruction manual PDF that you can get at nativeinstruments.com. Okay, so let's first take a look at the top. Now, I personally like this top-down sort of view of our volume instead of having our volume down here where I'm trying to reach in between the desk, and it's just much easier to have this up here. I like that quite a bit. So we have, of course, LED lights once we plug it in. Input 1, input 2, input 3, input 4, and output 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And we have our SPDIF sync. That's our 5 and 6, of course. So, that's 2 in the front, and then 2 inputs, analog inputs in the back, and then the other 2, so that's 4. So then the other 2 would be SPDIF. All right, so there's not 6 analog. Okie dokie. All right, so of course we have buttons here between instrument or line. And we have our gain control, and we have buttons here. So whenever we put our XLR in there, it will lock into place. Same for channel 2, instrument or line. Then we have monitor control here, and a mono button there. And of course, the phone input. We can switch here between 1 and 2 or 3 and 4, the 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 outputs that we're listening to. 48 volt LED, USB LED, our MIDI inputs. All right, over to the side, over to the back. So this does have 48 volt phantom power that you can turn on. And, if you have one mic that uses 48 volt and the other one doesn't, that's fine. You can still turn on the 48 volt for your condenser while your dynamic is not going to need the 48 volt. Or of course you can have a guitar plugged into one and a mic plugged into another one. That's not a problem, having the 48 volt on. Cool, there's our USB port, our MIDI interface. Now I usually use MIDI over USB, right into the computer because it's actually faster. But if you want to use external MIDI gear, you can plug that in here. Again, we've already seen our SPDIF ports. Then we have our balance. These are our main outs, main 1 and 2. And there is the balance main ins, 3 and 4, and the balance main outs, 3 and 4. Okay, so that is the entire interface. Again, it feels like a premium product. It's solid, nice rubber feet so it stays still. I like the big volume knob for our main volume 1 and 2. So now we got to go ahead and hook this thing up. All right, so let's go ahead and download the driver. And by the way, I went ahead and connected our Audio Control 6 to our Surface just to see if Windows 10 would go ahead and grab that driver for us. It did not. You know, sometimes Windows 10 is really good about finding every device driver out there, but it did not find this one for us. So we'll definitely need to install that manually. I've already downloaded it. If you don't have it, and if you don't download it whenever you register your Complete Audio 6, which we've already registered it, you can always just come to the drivers and other files and scroll down till you see Complete Audio 6. And here we go. Here's our driver that we've already downloaded. And there is a driver for Mac, even though the PDF says we don't necessarily need one. But there is a driver for Mac, and we have a device updater that we may need to run if our firmware is not up to date. So just be aware of that. You can find all of that right here on the Native Instruments website. Like I said, I've already registered this device with Native Instruments, registered it to my account. After you do that, you'll be taken to this page where you can download the included software if you want to. You don't have to, but you can if you want. To activate the included software, you can do that right from your Native Instruments Service Center, which we're not going to show because it's really, really easy to do. Okay, so let's take a quick look over this PDF, which again, if you can't find it, simply type in Native Instruments Complete Audio 6 PDF, and it should be your first link there, okay? Okay, so let's go ahead and go through this PDF just a little bit. So if you have any problems, of course, consult this PDF. I'm going to show some things in this video, but the PDF will cover them in much greater detail. Okay, so this is just a little bit about your Complete Audio 6. It's a 24-bit ADDA. Very cool. 2 analog inputs, which again we've seen, and then 2 additional balance inputs, and 4 analog and 2 digital outputs, up to 96 kilohertz sample rate, and our 15 status LED indicators, ASIO and Core Audio low latency drivers, everything that's in the box, which we've already seen. We'll just go through this a little bit. So as you can see, installing Complete Audio 6 on Mac, it says no driver installation required. Okay, but there is a driver there if you need it. You should be able to just plug in your USB cable right into your computer and it should work just fine. All right, so for Windows though, we'll need to go ahead and download the driver, which we've already downloaded. We'll just install that there in a second. We can set our Complete Audio 6 as our main device in Windows. Now, I usually suggest against this simply because Pro Tools can have a problem when a device is being used by 2 things at once. It depends greatly on the device driver. It may work for you. I just want you to be aware that if you set your Complete Audio 6 as your main output for your computer and say Windows locks that driver, then you go into Pro Tools and you're trying to switch sample rates or something and it's not working. The reason why is probably because Windows is holding onto that driver, or it could be vice versa where Pro Tools is holding onto that driver and then you're not getting sound through YouTube or something for Windows or what have you. Okay, but this manual shows you how to do it. Very easy. Now they kind of show you the long way open start, control panel. You can really just come down here after you have the driver installed, just right click on your icon, go to playback devices. It will show up right here in your playback devices like my 11 rack shows up. Like I said, I always disable all these because I only want Pro Tools to use my 11 rack, but your Complete Audio 6 should show up in here after the driver is installed. You can right click it if it's not enabled. If it is enabled, you can just choose set as default device. If it's not enabled, just simply choose enable, and then you can set that as your default device. And if it doesn't work, if there's a problem, it's no big deal. You can always come back in. You can always disable it. You can always change your default device. So as you can see, I just have my computer speakers, my computer interface to be the main audio interface, which is what I prefer for computer sounds. So I'm not going to go through this entire PDF. You can read this on your own. I just want to make sure you're aware of all of the information that is in the PDF here. So if you get stuck, if you don't know what things do, consult the PDF. It's covered very well. It tells you all about your input 1, input 2, your gain knobs, the monitor section, which we looked a little bit at. We can see the on switch turns direct monitoring on and off. So with direct monitoring activated, the unaffected input signal will be heard with 0 latency. Okay, the on switch also doubles as a monitor selector switch. When held for 1 second, it cycles through 3 monitor modes: monitor signal to outputs out 1 and 2, monitor output 3 and 4, and monitor signal to both output pairs 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So that's pretty cool. And of course, we have LEDs which show us what's currently active as well. And we also have a mono switch, which is, that's pretty cool to have right there on your interface. And then the rear panel, again, I definitely suggest you take a look at this. If you have a ribbon mic and phantom power, be sure you know what your mic needs. Okay, so you can go through the rest of this yourself. There's a lot of information in here, but it's not a terribly long. I mean, it's like 58 pages. So take 30 minutes and read this so you know what you're doing, so you're not immediately getting online and having to ask questions about why something isn't working. And also we have this nifty control panel, which it's pretty cool, all the information that it will show you right in the control panel, right on your computer, that you can think all the things you can change: your sample rate, process buffer, device monitor, direct monitoring, and your sync. So if, for example, if I wanted to use my 11 rack connected to our Complete Audio 6, I would choose which one I want to be internal. So if I wanted the Complete Audio 6 to be the main interface, I'd probably set that one to internal. And then I would have the 11 rack connected via SPDIF into our Complete Audio 6. And I would choose for the 11 rack, it would be external. So that way the clocks would sync. All right, so that's basically how that works, basically. Okay, I'll just scroll through a little more just so you can see all the information in this PDF that you really need to know. And then here's some scenarios that will help you get up and running really quick. All right, so let's go ahead and install our driver now. All right, so here's the driver. We have unzipped it. Now, I do not have my Complete Audio 6 connected to my computer yet. I want to install the driver first, okay? Let's go ahead and install this. And as you can see, please make sure the Complete Audio 6 hardware is not connected during the installation. That's why we do not have it connected to our computer, okay? So I'll just go through these prompts now. This won't take very long at all. Okay, so now the driver has installed successfully. We can go ahead and click finish here. Awesome. So now we can connect our Complete Audio 6 to our computer via USB. And for this first test, I'm going to actually plug it into my main PC, but I'm going to cut in some footage of me plugging it into the Surface, just so you get the idea of plugging in the USB. We'll test it with the Surface later on. So I'll go ahead and plug this into my main computer. Okay, so now we have the unit plugged into our computer. As you can see, all of our lights are on here. And so, for example, as we looked at the monitor control here, with the on button, we can switch this here. If you hold it, go to 3, 4, hold it again. Now it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, which is pretty cool. You can do that. You can see we have our USB right there. Turn on the 48 volt phantom power. If we had SPDIF, that would show up here. Input 1 and 2, we don't have anything plugged in, obviously. No signal going in there. Big volume knob. Okay, and as I mentioned previously, if we come over here to our sound icon and go to playback devices, and scroll down, now that we actually have the driver installed, you can see right here, main output, Complete Audio 6 WDM, that's the Windows drivers. You can right click here and set that as your default device. If you want to use this as your main device, you can. It kind of depends on what DAW you use. Historically, Pro Tools is really, really picky about how we have this set up, but these drivers may be good. I haven't tested it yet. I literally just got this. I'm literally just unboxing it right now. So I'm just telling you, historically, I've had issues by using an interface with the computer sound and with Pro Tools, at least at the same time, without having to, kajigger things a little bit in the playback options here. But you also have recording tab up here, which you can, again, scroll down and choose your recording device for your main recording device for Windows, which of course is different than your recording device for your DAW. Pro Tools, Bitwig, whatever the case may be. But if you have a program like maybe like Camtasia or some screen capture software, then you want to use this to have a microphone in this to record into that. Of course, it depends on the driver. Again, I don't want to get way into the weeds here, but this is how you could set that up in here in the recording and playback tabs. Okay, so let me come over here to start. And recently added software was the Complete Audio 6 control panel, which we talked about a little bit. So let's go ahead and open it up. If you don't see it, of course, recently added, you can just go to all apps and look for Native Instruments and it will be in there. So we'll just go ahead and open it up and let's check this out real quick. All right, so you can see everything we can do here. Audio processing is currently set to 48 Hertz, 192 sample buffer. I'll go down all the way to 32, which is pretty cool. Again, as we mentioned, this is completely USB bus powered, meaning there is nothing else connected but this USB cable. So it's drawing power from the computer. That's great for a portable solution, especially with something like a Surface. All right, and we can see our device monitor status. It's idle, so there's nothing connected to this. No, Pro Tools is not connected to it right now, obviously, but this should say what it's doing once we're connected, and if it's processing sound. Of course, we can see down here the interface is connected. So if you're having trouble with your computer not recognizing it, you always check your control panel and make sure it says interface is connected. And then, of course, all these options that we saw in the PDF. Let's go to diagnostics real quick, just so we can see so here's the driver version, here's the firmware version. So the device updater 1.2.0, because we're showing firmware version 50 here. So we'll see what this updater does. And if we click this info here, this will show us exactly what we need to do. So this update is recommended to every user of any of these mentioned devices. So to run it, of course, we download it. We need to unplug our device, okay, then connect it and start the device updater. All right, so let's go ahead and do that right now. Why not? Let's go through every single step that you'll probably have to do when you get your new Complete Audio 6. Now we have unzipped our device updater, as you see here. This is the README. Be sure to go through this here if you need to. There's a little information in there. All right, so let's go ahead and run this. And of course, we need to disconnect this unit first from our computer. I'm not going to pull the cable from here. I'm just going to pull it right out from the computer. All right. So as you can see here, now we have disconnected it. Now we're going to reconnect it to the computer as per the instructions. All right. There we go. Now we'll go ahead and run the device updater. It says your device has the latest update. Press exit to exit the application. Okay, so there we go. We know that 50 now is actually 0.2. All right, but if you don't have your firmware updated, that's how you do it. Really, really easy to do. So of course, to hear if this thing actually works, we have to connect our two monitors to it. So let's go ahead and do that first. The way I have my system set up here currently, I have my 11 rack running into this headphone monitor, and then for the throughs, these actually go out to the monitors. So these are actually the monitors. To test this, our Complete Audio 6, we're just going to get our monitor plugs out of here. Now, I'm not exactly certain how I'm going to hook this up. Once I'm all done here, I might connect the 11 rack to the Complete Audio 6. We don't know yet. This is literally the first time I've opened up this product, so we're going to go through the setup together, just like you're going to do whenever you get your new Complete Audio 6. Let's go and hook these up. Now we'll connect our monitors to our Complete Audio 6. And one thing I've gotten into over the years is making sure I always label all of my cables. It's a huge time saver whenever you're trying to patch things in. You're not having to guess what monitor is this or what patch is this, what is this for? I always know exactly what everything is for. So this is my right monitor. Just turn to the back here. All right, so here is our balanced out. That's 3 and 4. What we want is 1 and 2, I think, which what we're going to test with is our 1 and 2. So this is the right. Plug it in there. And very important, my monitors are turned off. Make sure your monitors are off before you plug them in. And then here, and these are nice cables here, by the way. These are Monster. I'm not necessarily huge on Monster cables. I think a lot of them are overpriced, but these here are pretty good. They're kind of expensive, but as you can hopefully tell, they're really thick and they last a long time. So put left in there and you can see what kind of cable they are. They're TRS, so they're balanced cables. Okay, so now we should be set up here. And of course, we'll want 1 and 2. So we press that. Now we're going to monitor through 1 and 2. So let's go ahead and I guess I'll open up Pro Tools or something. And I'll just try to output some sound through our monitors and make sure it works real quick here. Now we have Pro Tools pulled up. As you can see, we have our monitors plugged in. I'll make sure I have my volume all the way down. Our monitors are, of course, powered on. Let's go ahead and create a session here, and we'll set this up. Just call it test K6, and we'll go ahead and create that. Now we're going to have to change the playback engine because this is currently should be set to work with my 11 rack. So let's come up here and go to playback engine. Yeah, right now it's on 11 rack. Let's see if we have it in here. Yeah, we do. There's Complete Audio 6. Let's go ahead and switch it over and just say yes. Okay. And go through this dialog screen. All right. And it closed. So what we got to do is let's come in here to the control panel, the audio settings, and we'll go to the process buffer. Let's put this on 128 samples. And we'll relaunch Pro Tools here. Okay, let's see if that's saved. Yeah, here we are. Nope, that's actually not the right one. I'll just create a new one here. We'll call it test K62, 40 hertz, 24-bit. That's fine. Create. Go ahead and save that real quick. Now come to setup, playback engine, and we're on the Complete Audio 6. Okay. So as you can see, just needed to change that. It was on 192, which is not something that Pro Tools supports. So just switch that over and you should be fine. Okay, and as you can see, our device monitor it's streaming, so that means we're good to go. As you can see here, if we go to change this, we're not actually able to, apparently. Again, this is the first time I've used this, so I'll need to spend more time with it. But it looks like we'll have to change this over here. Maybe we want a smaller buffer. We'll go to 64 samples, and then our ASIO device properties have changed, and then Pro Tools must be restarted. So we'll save everything. Okay. Sure, replace it. Okay. Okay. And now it goes into idle. So then we can relaunch Pro Tools. And we have a smaller buffer now. All right, go back to recent. Don't really like how that works. Usually you can just change the buffer right there in Pro Tools. Playback engine, make sure we have audio 6. Yep. Oh, that's interesting. I'll definitely have to look more into that. But that looks like that's how you can change your buffer. But this video is not about Pro Tools, so we just want to make sure this works. So let me just pull in some loops real quick to make sure this works. We'll just come here to some of these Pro Tools samples, and we'll just grab some stuff here. Say some drums. And just grab some loops here. And we'll just grab these here, I guess, and we'll throw them into the tracks list. And that should give us tracks. Awesome. Now we want to see if we can actually hear any of this. So we'll solo this one. I'll hit play. And it's playing. We can see right here. Of course, you're not hearing anything because our volume's all the way down. And we'll just hit play on this first one here. And I'll turn this up. All right, so little clicks and pops there because our buffer is probably a little too low. Let's grab this here. Let's change this to 128 or 256 would be okay. All right, we'll save it. And we'll go ahead and restart this one more time. Okay, so we'll relaunch this session here. All right, let me come over here. I just want to see something here for our inputs and outputs. All right, so that switched it over for us. You can always come to setup and IO if all this stuff is messed up and just default your IO there because we have a new interface that we're using. We switched over from our 11 rack. So just come in and default this stuff if your ins and outs aren't showing properly. Okay. Let's go ahead and say solo this one. That's a lot better. Okay, so it is working here in Pro Tools. That's pretty cool. I just want to test headphones real quick here. So here's some Headphones. Let's plug this in here. We're monitoring 1 and 2. I'll hit play. Yep, and you can see my monitors are turned down. Okay, and I don't know if you can hear this or not. So we are getting sound through the headphones independently of our monitors. We switched to 3 and 4, so of course now there's no sound. Man, these things are dusty. I never use these. I actually use other ones. These were just, these were within arm's reach. So there we go. All right, that's pretty cool. Now let's go ahead and test out some of the inputs here. Try my guitar and the mic to make sure that works properly. Okay, so here we have a microphone, and here's our XLR, and we'll plug this into, let's say input 1. Hopefully you can see our light there, and it locks into place. This XLR cable. Now these are our dual input ports, meaning that if I have a cable close, which I do, so here's a 1/4-inch cable. These can also take 1/4-inch cables here, so you could do that as well. All right, which we're going to test guitar in a minute. But right now, let's go ahead and just stick with the mic. There's our mic. Now, this is a condenser microphone, so of course, we're going to need 48-volt phantom. So we'll push that button on the back that we showed earlier. Hopefully, you can see we got our 48-volt phantom light right there. It's our input for on 1. And we can turn up the gain here. And just so I can visually show this, I'll pull the mic out of the stand just so we can see. So you can see the light blinking every time I talk, or we can adjust our gain. Of course, we'll look in our DAW, but I don't have it set up right now. We'll do that in just 1 second. There's our input gain with that knob there, of course. And we have, so instrument or line, we can choose from, which pressed in would be instrument, out would be line. But right now we're using the XLR, so we'll use our input gain there, and mic is working. So let's go ahead and create a new track in Pro Tools so we can make sure we get input here, okay? Okay, so Control-Shift-in. We'll just do a mono track. We'll just do 2. Only need 1, but hey, let's do 2, right? And actually, let me show more stuff here. I want to show my in-out. All right, that way, just so I don't have to switch back and forth, okay? So go to interface, and these are, of course, mono tracks. I might actually rename this in the I/O. I don't like how that's set up. I don't like the input 1, input 2, which is because this is showing input 1 and input 2, and then it shows the individual channels left and then right. You can actually come in here and rename this. So I just had this be input 1L, input 1R, input 2R, or whatever, okay? And that's what I would do, but you can change that however you want. But we'll go ahead and make sure this is set up here. So we want, this is the left channel. Let's go ahead and click record there. Whenever I tap on the mic, you can see we are indeed getting input into Pro Tools. If we change it to the right channel, of course, we're not going to get anything because this is the left channel. Okay. So this is on record. Let's go ahead and record here just so we can visually see here in Pro Tools. This is working. I do like how we're getting the LEDs showing up for all of the activity. And you can see that we're clipping. So that's nice to actually see that on the interface. That's really cool, especially for an interface that's not that expensive in the $200 range. That's pretty cool. Let me go ahead and click record here in Pro Tools. And I'll just talk into the mic. Hello, test 1 and 2. This is Complete Audio 6 Native Instruments coming to you live. Okay, so we'll stop there. Now we'll try playback. Turn up just a little bit. Hit play. And I'll just talk into the mic. Hello, test 1 and 2. This is Complete Audio 6 Native Instruments coming to you live. Okay. All right, pretty cool. Now, just real quick, let's put a plugin on this, make sure we can play back. And one of my favorite plugins, but the only thing I use anymore, actually, is iZotope Nectar 2 for vocals. And since this is a voice track, that would be perfect. So we'll go and load this up real quick. There we go. I'll just grab a preset here. And by the way, what you're hearing is recorded through, you know, this camera microphone right here. We're not going direct right now, okay, because I want to show off this interface. So don't think the audio quality is bad. This is coming through our monitors that we have plugged in here. I want to show that the monitors work. All right, so we have our plugin set up. We have our preset chosen. And we'll hit play.
And I'll just talk into the mic. Hello, test 1 and 2. This is Complete Audio 6 Native Instruments coming to you live.
All right. So that works. It plays back. We didn't get any buffer errors, plugin errors, anything like that. Now we'll go ahead and test a guitar going in there, okay? So I'll plug in a 1/4-inch cable. We'll just use input 2, why not? Right into there. I'll leave the gain down for now. And we have line or instrument level. I would want instrument level for guitar. And I'll plug the other end into the guitar there and set up our interface here to be the right side. All right. All right, so now I have my guitar strapped on, plugged in here. I'm not hearing anything yet because, again, our input gain is down. Again, we have this on instrument level, which I can, hopefully you can see that's on the instrument. All right, because this is a guitar. So let's pull up our gain. So you can see we are getting input, and we're not hearing anything. We're still not going to hear anything because, again, we're using Pro Tools, but we do have this monitor section. As you can see, we're not monitoring there. Now we're monitoring 3 and 4. Let's just do 1 and 2. So now we are monitoring, which can be confusing from, so this is the level for our main out 1 and 2. This is the monitoring level. All right, so don't get confused by these two volume knobs. As you can see, this is the dry sound of the guitar. All right, now to really show this off, let's go into Pro Tools here. And actually, let me set up the gain right first. I'm just gonna pull it way up, see what we get. We'll pull it down. Still clipping when I played really hard. So that's probably good about there. Now, if I switch this from instrument to line, it still works. But as you can see, the difference in the level. All right. Okay, in here in Pro Tools, we already have this set up, so all I have to do is input monitor or, you know, arm the track. So and keep in mind, we have this monitor up. We could turn the monitor down, and because we're playing through Pro Tools, we're still going to hear. So even if I turn that off. But now if I don't monitor in Pro Tools, we don't hear anything at all. But monitor 1 and 2 again, and turn that up, of course. So now we can hear the monitor, everything running through here, direct. This is direct. This here is running through Pro Tools. So now it's kind of doubling up a bit on us there. So you'll just have to mess around with this here, the monitor section, okay? Now to really hear this work, we should put a plugin on a guitar, plug in and get some distortion going. So we have a lot to choose from. Oh, I don't know. One of my favorites is definitely Bias. This BX Mega single is pretty cool, but let's just let's go to 11 MK2. Okay. Now again, that's direct right there. Now I'm monitoring through Pro Tools. And we're hearing the sound of the plugin. All right. Let's go to one of my favorite amps. And I'll set this up a little bit. Put this off axis. Classic 30. I actually like this B30 much better. Then we gotta take that bass down, mid way down, drive down, master down, presence up, volume, around 5 is okay. Put it on bright. Turn this gate on. Pull this up. Okay. That's better. This doesn't actually need to be so. I don't want the input of the guitar hitting the amp that hard. All right. That's not too bad. I'd go a little bit higher there. Actually, and bass down, treble up, a little more mids, a little more drive, I think. All right, so let's look at this monitor here. Let's turn this way up. I'll turn this down. And we can't hear anything. That's our main outs. But when I turn this up, you're going to hear, because we're monitoring through Pro Tools and we have this monitor on to monitor 1 and 2, and it's our monitor is pretty loud. We're going to hear the dry guitar, which the dry guitar is this sound here. That's the dry guitar. Now we're monitoring through Pro Tools, and okay, so that could be annoying. So I would probably want to turn the monitor off, because I don't need the direct monitor of the guitar, since we're monitoring through Pro Tools and we want to hear the distorted sound, of course. But this control can come in handy. You just really need to decide what you want and what you're monitoring. Okay. You hear how that's different than this here? Now we're just getting that distorted guitar. All right, cool. So let's make sure this records here. And when we record, it's just recording the direct guitar. It's not actually recording that plugin. So we'll hit record. And all right, cool. There we go. So now we'll play back. You can see I bypassed that there. All right, cool. So that is how you can use guitar through your Komplete Audio 6. Pretty cool. Let me create a stereo instrument track here in Pro Tools. And, this, of course, will work with other DAWs. I just use Pro Tools most of the time. Let's use this with a soft synth. So I'm thinking, I don't know, how about, could be anything, BFD3, even though that's not a soft synth, that's a drum program. Let's go for Strobe 2. And I just want to look at the MIDI side now. I like to use MIDI through USB, so my keyboard is currently plugged directly into the computer with USB. It's plugged into USB into the keyboard, but of course we do have MIDI inputs on the back of our Komplete Audio 6. You could use those as well. But let's just show that this works. All right. Make sure that's record enabled. So I'm just clicking with the mouse here. Let me choose a preset. All right, so now I'll press the keys on my keyboard here. All right, so that works just fine like that. Okay, pretty cool. So we've used MIDI over USB in this case, but again, you can use the MIDI ports on here if you want. I just like USB because it's actually faster. We've done the mic, we've seen the guitar, that 1/4-inch input, and your inputs on the back are going to be similar. You're going to use a 1/4-inch cable, although it's not really made for guitar in the back unless you're going through some sort of an instrument level. Those in the back are more for line level. Like I might want to take the level out of my 11 rack and go into the back of these here, which let me pull these out real quick and pull this off. So I might want to put say something coming out of my 11 rack or, CD player or something, whatever, I could put those into the ends here, which, so I'll grab my 1/4-inch cable and you can see pop right in there. Okay. So keep in mind, you have those inputs here. And of course we have our SPDIF, which we'll probably get into in a different video. This is enough for this video here. And we can always turn that off now because we don't need that mic. I really like this interface. It's pretty darn cool. So I think I've showed pretty much everything. Now, before we end, let's hook this up to our Surface. Here we are over at the Surface. And of course, you'll have to install the driver on every computer that you're going to use your Complete Audio 6 with, at least on Windows. And if you had to update your firmware, you don't have to re-update the firmware on each computer. The firmware is specific to your Complete Audio 6 unit, okay? And as we saw, our Complete Audio 6 is already updated, all right? So we'll go ahead and run this driver here. Here it is, and you probably can't see it because of the screen glare. But we are going to install the driver right here. Now this Surface is a Surface Pro 3. It's currently in the Surface Pro 3 dock. I'm going to go through this here. But of course, it doesn't have to be in the dock. I just, I'm at home right now, so I might as well have it in the dock and charging. And of course, the dock greatly expands your possibilities, whether it's the Surface Pro 3, Surface Pro 4, the upcoming Surface Pro 5, okay, because we have USB ports and all kinds of things on the back of the dock. But for this demo, we're going to plug directly into the Surface, just so I can show you that, the USB 3 on our Surface Pro 3 works just fine. Okay, so we have that driver installed. Let's go ahead and plug this in. And like I said, we're going to use the USB 3 port right on the Surface. We could, of course, use any of these ports on the back, but I want to show you that it works directly with the Surface. So if you're out somewhere with just your Surface and just your Complete Audio 6, you'll be just fine. Okay, so we have connection right there. Okay. Now, I don't know if you're even going to be able to see this, but right click here, playback devices, and right there we can see, I know you can't see, but it does say Complete Audio 6. And just like I did in the last video on our main computer, I like to actually disable these because I only want them to be used by Bitwig or Reason or Pro Tools. Okay, so I like to disable these, but feel free to test out using this as your main playback device. All right, and I do the same thing on the recording side. I disable these from Windows. It usually, it usually works better, but again, feel free to experiment. All right, so since I don't have my iLok plugged in, and because the Surface Pro 3 itself only has the one full-size USB port, now again, it's in the dock. I could easily plug the iLok into the back, but I don't feel like grabbing my iLok right now. Let's just use Bitwig, which we don't need an iLok for Bitwig, which is great. Of course, I don't have my monitors plugged in here, so I'm gonna have to grab some headphones. Let me just hit play on this. Okay, so right now we're playing through the Surface audio, and I want to make sure I change this here. And the audio tab, and make sure we switch this to Complete Audio 6, and make sure we can choose this here. Speakers or headphones should be okay. Since we're using headphones, I might put the roll as headphones, but it shouldn't matter. Let's hit OK there. Now, when I hit play on one of our loops here, let me, hopefully you heard that, it's just coming through headphones. I'll just grab one of these and throw it over here. So as you can see, our headphones are connected here. I have it turned way up there, and we're monitoring 1 and 2. Let me turn this up too while I'm at it. Of course, we're connected with USB. Okay, so now we have everything turned up. Okay, so hopefully you can hear that, and we can see our output is indeed working. Okay, pretty cool. So it's working fine here with the Surface with USB 3. Just make sure you install that driver, and you shouldn't really have any problems. So I believe we covered a lot of information about the Complete Audio 6. I believe we covered everything you need to know to get up and running really quick. We can check out the MIDI, and we'll just plug this MIDI cable right into the back. Again, I don't really use that much MIDI cables, at least not for keyboards. I usually go through USB, but you know, you can use this. All right, and of course the other end is plugged into the MIDI out of my keyboard. So now whenever I press a button on my keyboard, you're gonna see this MIDI in light blink. So I'll go press some keys on my keyboard and you'll see this MIDI light here. All right, so pretty cool. And of course, if we were sending MIDI out, we would see that LED illuminate as well. So this has been the Komplete Audio 6 6-channel premium audio interface from Native Instruments. Really nice 6-channel simultaneous 6-channel, by the way. We can have more than one of these running at the same time, okay? These inputs here and outputs. All right, so go check it out. NativeInstruments.com. I actually got this one here from Sam Ash. You can go to Guitar Center, Sweetwater, tons of places, and pick up your own Komplete Audio 6. A great mobile setup here, as you can see, since it's bus powered, and a great setup overall. Maybe you're just getting started, maybe you're more advanced. You know, I've been making music for probably 10 years now, and I gotta say, this is a really nice interface, a really nice 6-channel interface. So go check it out, NativeInstruments.com, Komplete Audio 6.